Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another NASCAR video, where today we're going to be discussing the safety improvements between the 2022 and the 2023 NASCAR Next Gen chassis. These improvements are made due to an elevated risk of concussions when the car backed up into the wall, just like Kurt Busch's incident last season at Pocono. This crash resulted in a major concussion for Kurt Busch that sidelined him for the remainder of the season, and NASCAR went front and center and decided they needed to make improvements to the car. As you can see here, the car did not crumble very much in this incident, and it was a really hard incident, as you're about to see in the next replay right here. This durability and rigidity of the structure was made to make the car cheaper to repair after races to help smaller teams. However, the car was a little too rigid. As you can see, Alex Bowman, who also sustained a concussion here, his head made a heavy impact back into the seat. So NASCAR made the necessary changes after that to impose the best of both worlds, to maintain the rigidity and durability, but to also crumble to prevent concussions and other head injuries in incidents. These changes are in the locations that are highlighted in this picture in front of you right now. All of these bars and poles, or whatever you want to call them, they're actually metal tubing. They were decreased in size, and they added holes, which are basically intended to improve the shock absorption of the chassis. As you can see here now labeled, these holes were actually called triggers, but they are basically just holes in the chassis that allow it to have a little less structure, which might sound bad, but the point of it is to allow it to collapse, which is also the point with the decreased wall thickness and diameter side. Basically, that just means using a thinner metal in the steel tubing of the chassis. The other improvements made, and I think this is where they really matter, was in the backside of the rear end chassis near the fuel cell. As you can see there, highlighted red and yellow, is 2x4 steel tubing. Now that stuff is about as strong as it gets, and it's used in the part of the chassis that aren't supposed to collapse really at all. So what NASCAR did was they removed the top red ones, and they replaced the bottom one with a slightly thinner green steel tubing. I believe it's 2x3. And they put an angle in it. Now this angle creates basically a compromise in the structure that allows the car to collapse right at that point. The reason they chose that point was it's also a more repairable point, and it's more likely to collapse there than anywhere else in the chassis unless it's a ridiculously heavy incident at that point. Then you just have to accept you might lose the car. These changes, though, with all the new crumble zones in the car, should limit the risk of concussions in the 2023 season. As you've already seen at Daytona, there were some nasty wrecks, and they luckily resulted in no concussions. The other changes made in this Next Gen 2023 safety improvement upgrade, whatever you want to call it, was they also slightly decreased the metal diameter in the bumpers, which are all made from basically folded sheet metal, kind of like the body of your entire car. If you were to take off the plastic carpeting panels, you could actually see how the metal is folded and bent to create rigidity. So they altered that on the car. They also did it in the front end, where you can see the metal bumper in the front. I'm not talking about the tubing, I'm talking about the sheet metal that is folded. They decreased the thickness of that metal to also allow a little more crumble. And with all this added together, the next gen car is safe again, but it's also still durable to help out the smaller teams and teams in general to lower the cost of competing. NASCAR has always been at the forefront of safety in the sport, and really all sports. They haven't had a fatal incident in over 20 years. And the last serious incident was the Ryan Newman crash at Daytona in 2020 with the Gen 6 car, which actually had safety implications on the Gen 7 car. And part of why it was so rigid was also to protect drivers in large incidents. No driver would die in the next gen car the way it was built last year. But anyways, guys, if you did enjoy this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe and smash the notification bell so you know every single time I upload. This is a NASCAR racing channel. If you like NASCAR and you like racing, you'll like this channel. I upload NASCAR racing videos such as career mode series and also educational videos like this, post-race reviews, and major crash videos. So you get your dosage of NASCAR in all ways to stay informed, up to date, and entertained. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Be sure to leave comments down below if you have any questions and I'll address them. And until next time.